Time to go live. Good afternoon, folks. The buyer frenzy continues on properties. This is what happens when you have an extreme lack of inventory in a real estate market. I hope by now those who were wondering or thinking that home prices might fall a year ago when the pandemic hit finally realize that's not going to happen. But I will admit, I have recently had people ask me, when will the bubble burst? Well, I can tell you that it won't be anytime soon. If it does happen for the foreseeable future, it will not occur. The good news for buyers that I'm going to talk about today in my full market update is the fact that properties are being listed. This is good news. The whole machine is starting, folks. It's just a late start here in Massachusetts. More sellers need to list, though. Good afternoon, everyone. Anthony Lamacchia here, broker owner of Lamacchia Realty. I'm here to provide you with a full and complete real estate market update for Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and I'm going to tackle that with you over the next 30 minutes. Lots to discuss. Very active market, tremendous amount of buyer demand, lack of sellers listing, though it is getting better. The last 10 days, it's improved substantially. Next week, you'll see a big improvement after Easter. There's always a little bit of a lag on what's listed before a holiday weekend, though we have noticed that the holidays since COVID don't seem to be as important to people. We are noticing that the activity is still there. I will tell all of you buyers right now, before I get into my full updates, that you should get out and look at homes this weekend. Sorry, realtors that are watching, you might be thinking, oh, Anthony, why don't you get out and show them homes? But I have to be honest, there will be less buyers out looking this weekend, particularly on Sunday because it's Easter. This happens every time there's a holiday. Again, it's not as pronounced as it was prior to the pandemic, but we do notice a decrease in buyer activity around holidays. That makes a good time for a buyer to get out there. Instead of 30 offers on a home, maybe there'll be 10, maybe there'll be 20. But in most cases, there will be less multiple offers to deal with than the last few weekends, and certainly the next few after this. So if you can spare the time over the weekend, maybe if you, whether you celebrate Easter or not, if you can spare the time, I strongly recommend getting out to see properties, because this will be something that will be an advantage for you this weekend. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to get into a brief look over of the February housing report. Let me jump to that page right here. Florida report was out last week. I'm going to touch on that towards the end of this. Right now, I'm staying focused on Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Let's have a look. Massachusetts home sales in February were up 11%. We put this report out about a week ago. So overall homes sold up 11%. Now remember, this is comparing to the last full month before the pandemic hit, okay? The last full month before that. Let me jump back in here. We've got a little problem with the share screen because it did not go to the right one. My lovely coworkers decided to change the way the share screen works before I came in here. They meant well. They certainly meant well. Here we go. I'm going to do it myself. There we go. I think it's right. Okay, February housing report. Lindsay is now laughing. But please take a look at this. Home sales up 11%. Average prices, this is Massachusetts, up 10%. That is a legitimate number. Now, the reason I say that is there have been some places like South Florida, particularly Miami-Dade County, where prices went up so much that I had to say, well, guys, that doesn't mean that every home went up 70%. That's the fact that there's more luxury. Here in Massachusetts, that number is legitimate. In the last 12 months, homes have gone up about 10%. That is accurate, completely accurate. So that's something to think about. The average sale price in Massachusetts is now right around $523,000 for singles, multis, condos. Homes listed for sale. I'm not going to go crazy on this because that's in my next report. But you can see each week it's less homes for sale than the year prior. Pending sales in the month of February were down 8%. It makes sense because homes listed was down 19%. Now keep in mind, the snow had an impact on February. My dad told me some crazy statistic. The average temperature in February in Boston was the lowest average temperature since February 1989. Knowing my dad, that's right. We call him Joe Stat in the family. So I thought that was quite interesting. Take a look at New Hampshire. Home sales up 11%. Homes average sale price up about 11%. I'm sorry. Sales up 4%. Prices up 11% to an average of 376,000. What's ahead? Well, in this February report that we put out a week ago, we talked about how we expected the market to get much busier again and for things to substantially turn on in the weeks to come. And I am here to tell you that has happened. In the last 10 days, the market has finally kicked off. I think that it will be in full gear come next week. We're dealing with Easter, so this weekend will be a little bit slower, not terribly, but a little bit slower. Then next week, there'll be a tremendous amount of properties listed, and then in the weeks following, things will be very, very busy. So wanted to point that report out to you all. Now what I would like to do is jump into, I'm going to go over to this other screen. I'm going to jump into Mass Housing Report. I'm going to reshare, and I'm going to walk through the weekly report that I've been showing you all since the beginning of COVID a year ago when our lovely marketing team created this page. So take a look at what I'm about to show you here. Many of you have seen it before. This is the Massachusetts Real Estate Updates page. Lindsay's going to put it up, massrealestateupdates.com, if you want to log on to the page directly. So let me walk you through here. I'm going to go to full screen so you can see it even better. I'm actually going to zoom on the screen a little bit too. Okay, so that should make it easier for you all to see. Now take a look at the turquoise line. That is the amount of homes listed per week compared to the year before. Look at that closely. Every week so far this year, up until the last 7 days, see the graph line? There have been less homes listed than the same week the year before. But now we are charting into, this is the first week that we are charting into territory, or the first 10-day period, we're charting into territory that is comparing to when the pandemic first hit last year, and the amount of homes listed marked active in the system in the week prior, and then a full week was down. So look at this. Now we're going to start to make up ground. You see this turquoise line? This week will be up as well, but not as much as it could be because of Easter. Then next week it will go up a lot. And this is when we'll really start to make up some ground over last year, because look how long less homes were listed last year. Late March, all through April, early May, all the way through. Now we're going to make up a lot of ground. Now, if I scroll down here and I get into a snapshot of homes for sale compared to the same exact day 1 year before, we take this snapshot every Saturday. See, it says Saturday there. You can see that the amount of homes for sale in Massachusetts is hovering at about 6,500. This is pathetically low, historically low. It's totally unprecedented to have this few homes for sale. Single families for sale is down here. It is even lower, 2,900 single families for sale right now in a state of 8 million people. This, folks, is just crazy. You will not see much of an improvement on this. You'll see an improvement. I bet we'll get up to 7,000, 7,500 area, but you're not going to see it break into 8, 9, 10, 11,000 until we get to summer. Why is that? Who wants to help me with why? Here's why. I want everyone to be able to see me again. It's like Pac-Man, folks. I've used this analogy for years. The amount of homes that are being listed is being eaten up at either a faster rate than they're being listed or at the same rate. It was at a faster rate back in February, hence why there was a dip here. Because even though the snow hit, buyers didn't stop going out and looking at homes. However, sellers backed off on listing. And this is why I tell you, sellers, list your homes for sale if you want to make the most money. Do it. Stop being scared to list because of COVID. We have it under control. Realtors have it under control. Don't be scared to list because you don't know where you're going to go. Unless you are looking for a very, very unique property in a very, very unique area of town, we should be able to find you a home in a 90 to 150 day period, and we will put protections in the contract to make sure that you do not end up homeless. We will make sure of that. That is something that realtors do. I can certainly vouch for the realtors here at Lamacchia Realty. Now, moving on in the report, I want to take you back to full screen. I'm going to jump back in there and continue to scroll down. Single families I just mentioned. Homes pending per week. Look at the amount of homes pending per week. Turquoise is 2021. Notice that we are now above last year. So this is how. Remember at the beginning of the year when I predicted that this would be the biggest year for home sales since 2005. And I'll admit, in February, I started going, am I going to be right? This, folks, right here is why I'm going to be right. The amount of ground that we are going to make up in the next 6 to 8 weeks compared to last year is going to be substantial. It's going to create a massive advantage. So homes pending is up. Homes sold. This is the lagging indicator. You won't see it hit the home sold results really till May because they have to get listed first. They have to go pending first before they can get to sold. April, you'll see more homes sold than last April. March, I'm not convinced you will. Here's why. Remember what I just showed you. Homes listed in February was down substantially. Homes pending was down in February. It's possible that home sales in March could be even with last March. I'm really torn on which way to go with that. On one hand, I feel we'll have less homes sold because there was less pendings and because there was less listed. But on the other hand, I'm also remembering the amount of transactions that fell out of being under contract when COVID hit last year. There was a lot of sales that would have happened last March that didn't because of that. Let me show you that in a few minutes. Let me get back to the report. Look at this, folks. We're talking about 5 years of data here, back to 2017. Historically speaking, at this time of year, 15% of homes for sale go under contract per week. That's the amount of homes that are for sale. What percentage of them are going pending, are accepting a contract in a given week? We've never seen what we're looking at right now. Look at this. 36% of what is for sale went under contract last week, my friends. I cannot emphasize to you enough how completely crazy that is. That is truly remarkable in any market in the nation. Going back 100 years to have 36% of the inventory in a given week sell. That means that in about 3 weeks, everything is sold. Not even a full 3 weeks, right? 36 times 3 is what, 109%? So we're talking about, we've got an inventory, a supply of homes for sale that is under 3 weeks, meaning if nothing else listed and things kept selling at the rate they are, there'd be nothing for sale in about 2 weeks and 4 or 5 days. My friends, that's like, it should be on the evening news. I credit WCVB Channel 5 for doing a story on it a month ago when I was in it, and a couple of our realtors were in it. This should be evening news. Now, let me keep going. I want to show you more statistics. This here is the average price. I know I say it every time, but my friends, if you experienced the pressure and the comments that I experienced last March when everybody said you're going to be wrong, housing's going to fall apart, you would enjoy just rubbing it in a little bit too, as I do. Many people, the naysayers I call them, said home prices would fall out. Look at home prices right now, 523,000, 10, 11, 12% higher than they were a year ago. Not happening. You cannot have prices go down when inventory is lower. Now I want to show you something here. Remember I mentioned the month March to last March. Now March isn't done, but let's go back to last March when this saga started. 9,600 homes listed in March of 19, 8,734 in 20. Obviously down because in 20, a year ago, that's when the pandemic hit. Come with me here. Wait, what's that number? 8,700. Let's go down here. So far, as of Saturday night, 8,500 were listed. We're ahead. We're 3% ahead compared to last year on the 28th. We're going to beat last March. Homes listed is going to be up. Homes pending, look, we're already up 10%. We're going to be up substantially more by the end of the month. Homes sold, same thing. I'm conflicted on homes sold. If I had to bet, I actually think I'm changing my tune from 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I said that I thought homes sold in March would be down compared to last March. I'm going to change my prediction and say I think we'll be up slightly, not substantially, slightly. And that's just the sheer force of the market. And the market has really turned on since the beginning of March, especially in the last 2 weeks, last 10 days even. It has really, really turned on. Now, what I want to do, because I didn't look at New Hampshire yet, allow me to go into New Hampshire. I think I'm going to have to adjust the screen again. Oh, it did it. It did it. It did it. Good news. Look at this. Homes listed for sale. Below so far, but again, we're catching up because this is the line right here, folks. This is the crossover point that I want everyone to see. Last year, homes listed for sale falling at this time. Now we're making up ground. Look at pendings. Same thing. We have hit the crossroads. We've hit the point of 1 year ago when we're beating it. That's good news. So homes sold is a lagging indicator. Those will be up in 6 to 8 weeks. Look at the prices in New Hampshire, folks. 350,000 average right now. They got close to, 350, 360, and we were high 300s back at the end of the year. Now, let's jump back to that housing report for a moment. Hopefully the screen will follow. Let's see. It did. Good news. All right. I want to take a peek at that housing report one more time. Okay. Now it's not going to follow because it jumps to a new screen. Let me stop sharing. Let me reshare. Oh, hang on. I'll get you there. Those coworkers of mine, wonderful people. This is the one time in the history of the company that I have taught them something tech. Let's see here. This is a historic day, Lindsay. It's okay. Here we go. I'm in. Let's scroll down. So again, I already showed you this for Massachusetts, but I want to go down and show you New Hampshire for a minute. I talked about New Hampshire. There's something that I missed and I wanted to show you. Here we go. Right here. Average price, $376,000. I did mention that. Homes listed down 19% in Mass. We don't have that data for New Hampshire. Okay. That answers the questions that I wanted to talk about. So let me jump over to different screen. I want to jump into New Hampshire and look at the weekly report just to give you an understanding of what's going on there. And I have to tell you, for those of you that are obsessed with Massachusetts real estate, you should at least be obsessed with Southern New Hampshire real estate. The reason I say that is Southern New Hampshire is like an extension of Mass now. The amount of similarities we see, the pricing, all those towns, Pelham, Windham, Nashua, pretty much all the way across, it's similar. And again, that's the crossover point. Okay, I covered this with you. We're clear. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't forget our friends up there. So, buyers, be happy. We're getting to the point now that droves of sellers are going to be listed. Droves of listings, not sellers. Sellers aren't for sale, their properties are. But think about that. You've been waiting all winter long. I've been telling you all winter long. I promise you it will get better. I promise you it will get better. Look at the stats. It's getting better. It is. The trouble is for home buyers, you're not going to really feel it for probably a month or 6 weeks. If you're really on your toes and you're working with a realtor who really knows what they're doing, you will notice it sooner. The buyers that work with our realtors here at LaMacchia Realty, they are exposed to LaMacchia Links. That is our proprietary database of over 200,000 buyers and over 30,000 sellers. Yes, you heard it correctly on TV. Now, some people have asked me, well, those 30,000 sellers, I mean, you're not putting them on the market? Of course, that's not the case. We list the majority of our properties on the open market. We are big believers in the open market. We know that in most cases, sellers get the most money that way, but there are sellers who would prefer to sell without listing. That is just the way it is. That's just a simple, fact. In addition to that, there are buyers who would love to buy off market. Sometimes buyers and sellers are more reasonable when they know that they can get those advantages. Our LaMacchia Links system provides substantial advantages to our buyers. Now, out of those 30,000 sellers, they're not all selling. They're not all selling tomorrow. Some of them will never sell. Ooh, I said it. It's true, right? Think about it. It's a database of people who have at one point have said to us, hey, I would like to list my home for sale. Doesn't mean everyone will. Some change their mind. But we have found in the database, especially the sellers that have said it in the last year, they're excited. And our realtors are helping, last week, I believe, more than 10 buyers find properties. Okay, that's a lot of buyers. It's about 10% of what we put under contract last week. They were able to help about 10 buyers find properties off market before they ever got listed. That's pretty damn exciting if you're a buyer. And if you're a seller, there's a high likelihood that you're also a buyer. So you need to raise your hand to us. Tell us that you're thinking of selling so that we can talk to you, so that we can expose you to this database, so that we can expose your home in the database, maybe not publicly, in case there's someone who might want to buy it, and then you'd obviously at least want to know about it. Many of our sellers decide to list in the open market anyway. And in many cases, our realtors recommend it because we tell sellers to do whatever is best for them, despite what impact it may have on sales. We don't care. We have a fiduciary duty to our buyers and our sellers, and we need to do what's best for them. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Another thing that I want to touch on is South Florida. I did a report last, I think, Thursday or Friday, video report just like this, and talked about it. There is a run on that entire market. We have seen a run on single families. We are actually seeing, let me mention something else for New Hampshire and Massachusetts. We are actually seeing kind of a big uptick in activity on condos. Condos are coming back, especially those closer to the city that got hurt. Buyers are back after them, and they should be. If you remember correctly, those of you who watch all the time, I said in the fall, if you're thinking of buying a condo, buy one now. Because I knew when we get to this end of this pandemic that we would run into people going after condos. Guess what? It's happening like crazy in Florida. People are after condos. The condo market completely started coming back in the fall. That's part of what tipped me off for up here. I knew it would come up here. Now it's showing on the sold statistics. Condo prices are going back up down there. I shouldn't say back up. They didn't go down, but they slowed down a little. Single families are still going wild. So if you are thinking of buying a second home, an investment property, if you're thinking of retiring to Florida, becoming a snowbird, let us know. We can help you anywhere in Florida. We have our own team set up in South Florida, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami-Dade County, all three of those areas. But we help people literally all over the state through our leading real estate companies of the world network. We pass business back hand in hand, back and forth with companies down there all the time. So no matter really where you're moving anywhere in the United States, we can easily help. We actually can help anywhere in the world. A little harder right now with COVID, but we can. But we're seeing an uptick in relocations. That business is picking back up again, and we've been seeing for some time strong activity in South Florida from people out of New England, but hence why we opened there. But condos are coming back. So if you are thinking of buying or have dreams of buying in Florida, please let us know. We could add you to our mailing list. We're going to be putting out a monthly newsletter for people looking for Florida-specific data. We even have that on our own newsletter, our generic newsletter now. We also have other things in store for Florida. So that concludes my real estate market update for Massachusetts and New Hampshire in depth. A little bit touched on South Florida. I'm happy to take some questions for anyone who would like me to. Yeah, Bill, you've been at this a long time, buddy. 3-week inventory is crazy. And it's actually less than that. We're talking about a 2.5-week inventory of homes for sale, which is wild. Any questions? Joe Frowley, can you back the camera up a bit? We can still see you. Funny, Joe. Maybe you don't like the beard, Joe? All right, my friends, buyers, sellers, tenants, landlords, realtors, everyone that is watching, thank you for tuning in. I will be back to see you at the end of April. Have a great day. Condos in Boston and Cambridge, they're coming back. Don't you worry, the city ain't dead. There's no way.